Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but yesterday, Amber Guyger, who basically was this Texas cop, who now she's in an apartment complex. She goes into the wrong apartment and she murders this dude, Botham James, who's sitting in his house. Botham Jean. I shouldn't have said James. So he's sitting in his house, not a threat to nobody, no cops was called on him, nothing. This guy's sitting in his fucking house, eating ice cream up in his house, sitting in his house eating ice cream. This psychopath busts into this dude's house, shoots him, claiming that she think it's her house. Now, mind you, supposedly there was a red rug, and she doesn't have a red rug. And supposedly, I'm still trying to understand how the hell she got up in this guy's apartment in the first place. I'm still trying to understand that, because even if I act, and that's happened to me. Like, you be in a hotel and you go to the wrong door and you try to open it, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is my door. But guess what? The door doesn't open because your key doesn't work. So I have no idea all the details they're holding back about this trial, because I have no idea how she could have possibly gotten to this dude's house unless he opened the door for her. But anyway, you'd think at some point she'd realize, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong floor, or this is not my room. So this chick goes into this guy's house and kills his ass, murders this guy, murders him. Now, I was always afraid that what was going to happen was they were going to do overreach, because these prosecutors are fucking stupid. I don't have a law degree, and even I know better than most of these guys. What they try to do is they try to overcharge, and they try to get somebody on murder, but all they can prove is manslaughter, right? So I was always afraid that she was never going to be found guilty of murder. I was afraid that if they didn't charge manslaughter, which is a lesser crime, and give her less time, I was afraid they wouldn't be able to prove murder, because she was claiming she didn't know that she was in the wrong place and she thought it was her place. She comes in and starts shooting and kills this dude, right? So she's busy, this moron is busy sex messaging some other person, and she goes into this man's house while he's sitting in his house, eating his ice cream, murders him. She gets found guilty of murder. Guilty of murder. She gets found guilty by a judge and jury and all that bullshit that they told us about in civics. So she gets found guilty. And the best you got for her is 10 years? They would give me more time for selling drugs to drug addicts than 10 years. They'd give me more time than that. They gave this woman who lied about her daughter's school. In fact, what was his name? Woman lies about, and they gave her more time. Where is it? Woman lies about daughter's address. Where's that? About daughters. I should have had that ready, but it happens. School address. So this woman lied about her Ohio mom, Kelly Williams Bolar, jailed for sending kids to a better school in a better neighborhood instead of letting these motherfuckers who live out in the suburbs come into her neighborhood and fuck up her kids' education. She decides that she's going to send her kids to a better school, and they jail her ass. How many years did she get for this? Because I don't even know. Let me look this up. It's like, in order for me to really be properly outraged, I have to start doing my background research before I go live. Let me see. How much time did this woman get? So all this woman did right here was she sent her kids to a better school and lied about where they're going to school, right? Now, how much time did she get? Hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. Sentenced to how many years? Okay, sentenced to... I know goddamn well they didn't give her life. What the fuck? Wait. How much time did they give this one? Okay, and her felony was reduced to something, and she had to... Because I think they tried to sentence her... Yeah, this is fucking crazy. Like, they basically tried to sentence this... I don't know how long they tried to sentence her for, because I don't see it. If somebody knows, they could help me out, because I really don't know. So instead of letting these people come up in her community and ruin her kids' education, she decides she's going to send her kids to a better school. So they give her Crazy time. I don't know what they gave her. Somebody can chime in and tell me how many years this woman got for sending her daughter to a different school, because I really don't even remember. I just heard it was a crazy number. It was like a crazy number. In fact, there are women who are in jail right now for dealing drugs who got way more time than this Amber Guyger. And I'm thinking to myself, you mean to tell me you find her guilty of murder? You know what bothers me about this? When they read the verdict and people were in the courtroom, all these idiots in the courtroom are clapping. They're like, woo, we won. And I'm like, do y'all realize that without giving people like this the death penalty, that there's always the chance that these people can get parole, and that there's always the chance that, if you don't execute murderers, basically, that these people can get out of prison and they can do the same shit over. As far as I'm concerned, murderers, and look at the Trump finger. See, the Trump finger keeps coming out. Murderers and rapists should be executed. When I say 0% recidivism rate, I mean it. 0% recidivism rate. Executed. You come into this dude's house and you murdered this guy while he's sitting there eating his ice cream? Are you kidding me? And the best that this pathetic criminal justice system can do is 10 years? That's the best you can do? Really? Now, what also gets to me is there's a lot of hypothetical situations, hypothesizers pontificating on Urban View Radio and the radio station I listen to in the morning. And they're basically saying, well, if she was a black man and if she was a black man and he, as a black man, was a cop and bust into a white woman's house and shot her dead, that he would have probably either gotten life in prison or he would have gotten executed. And I'm like, you know what? It's kind of not fair to do that, because that's a hypothetical situation, right? Thing about it is, something like that absolutely did happen recently with this jerk off right here, Muhammad Noor. Now, Muhammad Noor was a cop called to the scene where this woman, Justine Damone, thought that there was a neighbor being raped or something. And she calls the cops to the scene. This guy apparently pulls his gun out and shoots across his partner and kills her next to the car, right? Guess how many years they gave him for that? They gave him 12 years. So you mean to tell me, now let's be fair to the cops. You mean to tell me I'm a cop, I get called to a scene where I think there's a crime happening, right? So already I'm on alert. And I accidentally shoot this woman to death, right? So I shoot her to death, and they give me 12 years. Some people would say, yeah, he should have gotten 20, he should have gotten 30. And then there's a lot of racists who don't like the fact that there's so many Somalians living in Minneapolis able to tilt the vote in the Democrat favor. But bottom line is this guy had the job, he was a cop, and he's on the job, and he shoots this woman dead by supposedly accident, because I really don't believe that he would shoot her on purpose. But they gave him 12 years. They gave him 12 years in Minneapolis, and give this dude 12 years. They gave her 10. Are you kidding? So here you got this Muslim Somalian cop who shoots this white Australian woman, and he gets 12 years for that. But here, and now mind you, he was called to the scene. And you're telling me that with this one, she goes into this dude's house, into his house, and murders him. Gets convicted of murder. And all you got is 10 years. I'm sitting up in my house, in my drawers, eating ice cream. You murder me, and I get 10 years. You bust in my house. Are you kidding me? As far as I'm concerned, there's certain things that I'm always going to support. First of all, one is the death penalty. That's number one. Murderers and rapists should be executed. I'm talking 0% recidivism. I'm talking 0% chance of parole. Zero. Now, and especially when it's one of those heinous situations like where like toddlers are raped or children, executed. Execute them all. And then as far as murderers go, as long as it's not one of these self-defense cases or something like that, where it's one of these extenuating circumstances, execute them. Because the minute that you let these judges and these juries give these people lesser freaking punishments, you're setting yourself up to let them off on parole years later. It's like there's certain people who do not ever deserve parole. People like Whitey Bulger and like mass murderers, these people who are on, because most of them get the death penalty. They get the federal death penalty. These mass murderers who bust in the movie theater shooting and they go into school shooting. These people should never, ever, ever see the light of day ever again. There is no rehab for them. There's no rehabilitation. These people are busting in, murdering people, and they're getting off. It's like, how are you letting this happen? It's just like that guy Breivik who's over there in Norway. This guy killed like 90 people and they still haven't killed him yet. They still haven't executed him. So you mean to tell me you're letting these liberals set up these pathetic laws for this pathetic criminal justice system, and the best you got is 10 years for somebody who busts in my house and murders me? Cops were not called. She busts into this dude's house. He's sitting there in his drawers in his house doing nothing but eating ice cream. You murder his ass. Murder. And you get away with 10 fucking years? Really? Is that the best you got? 10 years? That's the best? As a judge, as a jury, whoever set up a number like that, you should be fired immediately. I'm pretty sure the judge didn't set that number up. But whoever set that number up, they should be fired, because that is not justice at all. The only justice in this case is executing her as a warning to the next idiot who would do the same thing not to do it. That's the only justice. And nope, man of war, you say a black cop in Dallas would have been given life. Well, I point to this other one, this guy Mohammed Noor, where he blew Justine Damone away, and this dude got 12 years. But still, he got more time than she did. He was called to the scene. Now, even if I gave them both the benefit of the doubt, this guy was called to the scene of a crime, and supposedly she rushed the cop car and he thought he was in danger, or his partner was in danger. And back then, I could almost understand it because we did have an issue with cops getting assassinated. We had that issue in New York City. I can understand that to some extent, that you would shoot your gun past your partner trying to shoot somebody who's rushing up to the cop car. I could kind of understand that. But in this case, here you are, you come to somebody else's house and murder them in their own house. And the best that this jury can do for you is 10 years. You people, all of you should be ashamed of yourself. And this is the reason why I have no respect for this criminal justice system, and I never will.